Hello, everybody. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I don't know what exactly we're going to talk about because Tracy and I have each brought one thing that we want to chat about. Our take of the week, something diabetes related that we need to get out in the open. So yeah, she doesn't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what she's going to say. But we're going to have a little chat and, yeah, should be interesting. Let us know if you have any thoughts. Let's dive right in. Tiny snack I wanted to get away with. Good. Hello and welcome to Correction Dose, the podcast where we take on a new challenge every month to live our best lives with type 1 diabetes. I'm Cait, a writer and podcaster.
And I'm Tracy, a medical doctor and adventure athlete. We dive into science, stories, practical tips, and expert interviews, covering everything from carbs and exercise to fertility and tech.
Plus, we chat about our own highs and lows, our bruises, and those lovely 2 a.m. alarms, so we can learn to navigate diabetes like pros and hopefully help you do the same. Just a reminder that the content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice.
Cait, shall we dive right in?
Let's do it. Okay, Trace, how are we going to decide who goes first? Should we go highest blood sugar first?
Oh, yes. I think highest I'm going to win this one. Okay, highest. Okay, highest I'm first. On 11 millimoles per liter.
I'm on 9.4.
Yoo-hoo! In the green. Okay, yeah, I am. Just while you were doing the intro, I just jabbed myself with 2 units of insulin. So hopefully by the end of this little chat, we're going to come around. Okay, so I have 2 things. I'm sorry, Cait, it's not one. That's the surprise, as I'm talking about 2 things. The first thing is, so we have an episode on Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid condition. We have autoimmune activity against your thyroid. We get all into it. But basically, it made me do a little bit of quick reflection to try understand what my thyroid levels were doing. So in that episode, we also talk about how your thyroid is monitored. So I went back onto my blood test because, interestingly enough, I have been experiencing some of the symptoms of, say, Hashimoto's or thyroid abnormalities. And I looked at my blood results, which have been done every single year. And from 2023, this is when I moved on to this specific system. And for the previous 3 years, my blood results for my thyroid stimulating hormone have been basically identical. 1.69, 1.7, 1.63. Like it's a beautiful graph. It's a straight line. And now, as of 2 months ago, my thyroid stimulating hormone has gone up to 3, which is not in keeping. So this is just a cool thing to sort of see. It doesn't necessarily mean I have Hashimoto's, but it is a deviation from the normal. And it does explain maybe some of the symptoms I've been having. Or maybe it's just a little blip, because sometimes we do get funny little blips on our bloods that actually mean absolutely nothing. It can be linked to an acute stressor, because I've just recently broken my collarbone. Could be a lot of different reasons for this, but it is still fun to actually engage with your blood results and look for the different trends, just as we look for the different trends on our blood sugar.
That is very interesting. Just a quick refresher for anyone that didn't listen to that episode, or if you can't remember, diabetics are significantly more likely to develop Hashimoto's, which is a problem with your thyroid, and it's something that you should be having monitored regularly when you have blood tests. And Tracy's levels are not out of the normal range, but they are just different from hers. So that's really interesting, and I think is just a reminder that as a diabetic, we're quite good at monitoring our own health, and it's not so much about the official what's good and what's bad. It's a lot about knowing your own patterns and knowing what's different for you. Yeah.
That's it. Because so 3 is for TSH is perfect. It falls within the normal range. So that in of itself is very useful. What is important for me, at least as a doctor, when I am looking at blood results. So we get blood results and we get a range, low to like high, and that's the range we work within. However, you have to look at the patient, like who they are, what they do, their exercise, their lifestyle, how they eat, if they're vegan, if they're not. You have to really understand the patient holistically and then look a little closer at the blood results, because they might fall within the normal range, but it has deviated from what they usually have. Or for them, they actually need higher levels of iron than, the average person, according to their symptoms. So, if someone's blood result is sitting just on the cusp of low or just on the cusp of high, I always take that into consideration, because you're treating a patient, you're not treating blood results. So it's just important to also be able to look at your blood results, look at the normal ranges, look at the trends. If that interests you, you don't have to. Like, no pressure. Some people couldn't be like, you could just not be interested. I guess as a doctor, I'm like interested in these metrics. But it is just quite cool to know, and then to be able to see where you are deviating from normal, because the more you notice, the more you could actually help yourself and understand maybe some of the symptoms you might be feeling.
Well, I hope you don't have Hashimoto's.
I don't think I have. I don't know. Because now the question is, what do I do with this information? For me, it would to monitor it. I would be very interested, I think, in the next 3 months to have a repeat test done, just to check if the trend is going somewhere. Does it continue to go higher, or does it go back down to normal? That will be quite an interesting thing to observe.
What is your second thing?
I'm going to let you go with your one thing, Cait, and then maybe I'll end off with my last thing. Hit me.
Okay. So this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and it's just been irritating me, and it might be a bit controversial. I don't want to upset anyone, but I just have been thinking that diabetes tech is overrated. Okay. And I think it's a few things. One of the things that really irritates me is when you talk to someone about diabetes and then they go, but they've got all this tech now. Can't you go on a pump and you can go on all these things? As if it's just not a thing. It's just not a big deal anymore. As if we've resolved it. And yes, it's nice, but I just don't think it's as nice as people make out. And I don't think it's as much of a game changer as people make out. And I actually think that has consequences, because it means we've got activists who are fighting for everybody to have a pump. We've got pharmaceutical companies fighting, investing loads and loads of money to develop pumps, to develop smaller sensors that last longer. And I just don't know how much better it is. And I think it's a bit of a distraction. Because, take one simple measure, for example, DKA. Now, there is no evidence that being on a pump or having a CGM necessarily reduces your chance of DKA. Maybe a CGM. But I had a brief look at, the sort of medical journals and the trials and things. I haven't done, hours and hours of research on this. But there are some studies where people on the pump have DKA more often than people who don't, because it gets disconnected, or you have some sort of kink in a pipe, or something goes wrong. So, that's a pretty big measure. Difference in HbA1c, it depends person to person. It can make a big difference whether you're on a pump or pens, but not necessarily. The same as there are people that are using finger prickers that are getting good results, because what matters really is that you're following trends. So if you are able to finger prick 5 times a day for a week and see all your trends, or do it before and after exercise 4 or 5 times, then in the future when you do that exercise, you won't need to look. And the technology is a burden. Like it's making us tired. We're looking at it all the time. It's stressing us out. Yes, it's giving us information, but I'm not convinced that it's like improving our well-being necessarily. And yes, I'm very grateful that I have my CGM. I'm very grateful that I get it for free on the NHS. I'm very lucky. I know people have fought very hard for this to happen, and it's convenient. But I just think convenience and comfort are such a far cry from like actually improving the outcomes of the disease. And people talk about it like it's a cure, like it's a human right. They get angry, like they're like, we deserve to have every kind of pump that we want, any choice that we want. How dare the NHS not allow us this expensive technology? But it's not necessarily making us live longer. It's not necessarily making us less likely to get all sorts of conditions. It's not necessarily keeping us out of hospital. It's a lifestyle choice. And it's great. I'm so happy people have all this tech, and I'm so happy it's been invented. But I think it's overrated because people are just rating it so high. I don't know. What do you think?
So it is, that is a challenging one, because tech does make one tired. But tech also, I think our favorite line for this podcast is, it depends. It depends on the individual, 100%. You know, one could see it as, you know, you have a phone, it does everything that it has to do. Like it can call, it can go on Instagram, you can access your emails, it can do all the right things. It's got a camera, but then a new version comes out. And along with the new version comes all these promises about how it's going to change your life and be the best thing ever. And it's got this kind of camera. And then you get the new device, or you just long for the new device and you don't get it. But it always feels like there is, like the grass is greener. The newest version necessarily means like the better version. And I think that's where it gets overrated, is where we're seeing maybe these advancements come out in CGM and, you know, don't worry guys, we've made a smaller one. It's cuter, it's easier. We've made a smaller adhesive patch, but then it gets rolled out and then doesn't stick on, or it isn't what it's all cut out to be. And the improvement and the benefit of that like supposed adjustment is more marketing than it is actual value for money and actual change. Personally, I would want, say, a Dexcom to have created the G6 and then have worked on a new CGM for like 3 more years, and then release one that is genuinely better, genuinely more effective or accurate, or I don't know. So I think what I think is overrated is the marketing that sits behind these devices. Like, yeah, how much impact are they having from one version to the next version? Because, you know, I look at some individuals who haven't been on, they've been on multiple daily injections, but they go into a pump and their life is forever changed. You know, you take an HbA1c down from 13 straight down to 7.6, you know, in 2 months of using a pump. Mm-hmm. Whether that's the tech itself or actually the person on the other side of the tech that just feels like they've also got hope for the first time, that it's like that new refresher, that new lease on life. Is it the tech or the person, or is it actually both? But then I think once you're on a pump, going from one pump to the next pump, maybe that difference isn't that valuable, or it starts to lose the value it adds to your life. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they can add a lot of value. I'm not saying they can't. I think it's more just that in tennis, they invent like tennis rackets that are like carbon fiber or something, and then you can hit the ball a bit harder. It's not like they've reinvented tennis. You know, it's like a marginal. Yeah. I think it's more marginal than people gain. Are saying. Yeah, like it's good. I'm happy it's happening. But I just think like we are maybe putting too much attention on it. And like things like CGMs being inaccurate, like I think they're a lot more inaccurate than we kind of pay attention to. And I think that's not great. Like a lot of us are measuring our whole diabetes well-being on our time in range rather than HbA1c now. It's like become much more important. I'm not convinced that our time in range is that accurate, because sometimes you go a whole sensor that's not great. Like it's just not super accurate. And then you add in people using hybrid closed loop and their pump is administering insulin based on a CGM that isn't always accurate. Absolutely. And anyway, I think like the hybrid closed loop ones are the ones I get the most heated about, because AI works when you give it data. It can see patterns based on data. But insulin and blood sugar are just two small variables in the universe of the data that is involved in diabetes. It doesn't know exactly how we've exercised, how long, what our heart rate was. It doesn't know how well we slept. It doesn't know what our body temperature is if it's super hot. It doesn't know exactly what we've eaten. If we record that information, that's us doing the work and paying attention to what we've eaten, what the macros were, how many carbs, how much fat. We're never going to be able to put all that data into a pump unless we do it ourselves, which is a huge amount of work. And so I think there's like a limit to how much pattern learning it can do, because it doesn't have half the data. It has a very limited set of data.
How similar your days are, it also depends. Because if you're a person of absolute routine, it will figure out like a rhythm quite soon. If your days don't vary that much and if you're quite consistent about your meals and your exercise, I think there will be a point where we will be able to take an Oura ring and integrate it with the pump's information, and there'll be this one holistic go-to app. And for the most, I think there'll be a point where it'll be more accurate than us, and, the information that we have and understanding of our, like the temperature and this and that. But I think tech will get there, but that integrative phase is definitely, it's not there yet. And I think that's my concern with an insulin pump, because that's what I want to go on. But I'm currently trialing out the G7 so I can go on the Tandem, but the G7 I do not trust at all. And I'm like, well, how, if I know it's inaccurate, but now my insulin pump is going to be administering insulin using the blood glucose information, which is inaccurate. I tried to calibrate the G7 earlier today and it said calibration not used. And it just decided not to use my calibration. And I was like, but what do you mean? I did my finger prick blood sugar and that is what you're supposed to listen to. And it's like, no, thanks. I don't know. It decided it was right. And then I calibrated it again later because it was still off. And I'm like, well, if my pump was giving insulin, like I just don't trust it. But I don't know, maybe even in its inaccuracy of 2 millimoles, say either side, it still will give you a better time in range than if I was just freewheeling it.
Sure, but that doesn't mean it's anywhere close to being a cure or an artificial pancreas.
No.
It's not an artificial pancreas.
It's not.
If we had to pick between investing in education and investing in technology for diabetics, I would probably go with education if I had to pick, unless maybe I'm wrong. But I guess I'm just trying to make a point. Like, I still think it's great. That's the thing. I just think people are like so overexcited about it. And I'm like, I'm not convinced.
You want to see results. You want to see like the actual measurable impact. But I do think there's a lot of, in general, people jump on bandwagons. So if there's a craze, it can be a new insulin pump, it can be a new set of headphones. Like there will always be hype. And I think sometimes where there's hype, there's hope. It's like hope that it will fulfill a purpose or be the one thing, that's going to help.
Yeah, and if you're miserable with your diabetes, the idea that as soon as some administrator or medical aid or someone approves my request for this hybrid closed loop pump, all my problems will be solved. What a wonderful fantasy. And like, yes, maybe it will improve your life a lot, but it's a much nicer idea than thinking I have to do a lot of work looking at patterns, learning about things, weighing food, remembering to pre-bolus, which you still have to do on remembering to count my carbs, changing my diet, exercising, sleeping more. That's a lot more work than starting on a new piece of technology. And so I'm not saying it's not good to do both, but I'm just saying I think sometimes it's easy to have something to blame and something when this happens, then my diabetes will be good, instead of being like, listen, this is what I'm working with.
As humans, we look for the silver bullet. We want the one pill that causes weight loss. We want the one thing that fixes erectile dysfunction. They want the one thing that, we just want one thing. We don't want to look at the bigger picture and all the different factors that we could help and assist. And, we as humans do have a hard time taking a certain degree of accountability. But sometimes we need to latch it onto a piece of tech or a thing. And then hopefully that is the catalyst to help us and give us the space and the energy to be able to do all the other things. It's it's just the foot in the door. But yeah, I think if you can have a terrible HbA1c and be put on an insulin pump and still have a terrible HbA1c, because something inside of you has to shift and change. And maybe that's the extra support you get with the pump, the checking in and the trying to fix your settings and the odds and the ends, and you're just suddenly more tuned into your disease than you've ever been. And that in of itself is actually more of the work. So maybe what we need to focus on is the tech is great, but remember you're the individual that's putting in the work, and kudos to you. Well done. If you're going to get the tech, just know that there's remind yourself that there's a person on the other end of the tech, and you are still putting in effort, and you still do need to put in effort.
I think your point about cell phones and your comparison with cell phones is a good one, because I think what kind of worries me is that this is technology. Other people are designing it. They want to make money off it. Those are big corporations. Yes, as much as these are things that are going to help us, we have to remember it's no different from any other technology product. We have these big technology companies saying, we need to use all the water in the world to build giant AI data centers, and everyone needs to use AI for everything. And they tell us all of this, and we're like, okay, here's land and money, and we'll buy all your products, and we'll get the new iPhone every year, and so on and so on. And we're all now using ChatGPT for everything. But it is useful to remember, these people want to make money. This is a profitable venture. It's kind of annoying when they update technology in ways that nobody asked for. We want accuracy on our CGM. No one asked for it to be
I don't need it to be smaller. I want it to be accurate, more accurate. Make it bigger if it means it's more accurate.
Exactly. It doesn't need to last one day longer. I think we just have to be think about what we want, and the tech isn't necessarily always about humans necessarily in the way that it's designed. So that's my rant. I'm done.
Oh, I think that's an excellent point. Just to be mindful as well. It's just tech companies. Just because it's in the medical field doesn't mean that it's not a profitable venture, and that's their goals. And they're also in competition. These pharmaceutical tech companies, they're neck to neck. What's being brought out? What kind of monitors around? And it's pretty cutthroat. Just looking at the different prices of CGMs, and now, within South Africa, we're seeing a whole lot of other different brands that are not the Freestyle Libre and the Dexcom, but all these other little brands that are popping up. That you can get delivered to your house and you don't need a prescription for, and they're affordable. I don't know how accurate they are, but honestly, the G7, which is the most expensive monitor here, is so inaccurate. So I'm more willing to try an off-label other CGM at a reduced price. But yeah, it's pretty cutthroat. So I think your hot take is a good point. Okay, the thing I did last week, which I cannot believe I did, I woke up and I was like, in what world, Tracy Saunders, did you think that was a reasonable thing to do? But my low alarms, and now bear in mind I've got a G7 and a G6 on. So it is a flippin' symphony when I have a low blood sugar.
Can you explain why you have both?
So, because, so I'm trying to get on an insulin pump. The new insulin pump, the Tandem, uses a G7. It can use a G6, but G6s are getting phased out worldwide, which sucks. So before buying a pump, I must make sure that the G7 works nicely on my body. So now I've got both monitors on to like see the variability. Truth be told, G7 is all over the place. G6 underestimates some things, but it gives me a lot more stable readings and understandings. But anyway, so now I've got the one starts telling me I'm low and the other one, my G6 says I'm fine. So I test, okay, the G6 is right, the G7 is wrong. Calibrate the G7, low. And then suddenly they're both telling me I'm low. And then I eat a whole roll of Super C's. I eat a banana. This is all while I'm sleeping. So I wake up, go back to sleep, calibrate. Wake up, have Super C's. Go, another alarm, wake up, have a banana. And I'm like, I should not be going low. Like I've got so much sugar in my body right now. Like there's no way. And my insulin was done hours ago. What the heck is going on? I even reduced my long acting and I was just so frustrated from all these like 40,000 alarms that are going off. So I just switched my phone off and I went to sleep. And I was like, Tracy, don't do that. The low alarms are there to save your life. And here I am, like completely hutful. I was just done. I was like, whatever. If I'm low, if I pass out in the night, I don't care. I just want to sleep. I'm so tired. I just want to go to bed. And now these alarms are harassing me. So I just switched it off. And when I woke up in the morning, I was like, why did you do that? Like your alarms are helping you. Just go. I should have just got up and maybe had more sweets. But I didn't. Cait, I don't know.
You know what? Sometimes you don't want your life to be saved in the middle of the night because it's very irritating.
It's so annoying. That's so annoying. Honestly. I was like, at one point I was like sleeping on my phone so I could kind of not hear the alarms. And then eventually I was like, I'm switching this thing off. I woke up and my sugar was low. Shock and horror. But it was like 3.5 or something. And it kind of stayed around 3.5 the whole night.
Do you know what? I've 100% done this. Do not try this at home. But yeah, I've done this. Your alarm goes off once. Fine. Wake up, eat the glucose. Your alarm goes off twice. Fine, wake up, eat the glucose. The third time, you like want to throw it out the window. You just don't care. You're just like, at this point, I'm so tired. It's the middle of the night. Can you just leave me alone? And also, like, how much sugar do I have to eat? Like, sometimes you just can't believe that your body. I've definitely turned off my alarms after a couple have gone off.
Yeah, well, you're gonna surely not. The glucose is still digesting. That can be the only. Anyways, so don't do that. I won't do that again. Well, I'll try not to. Alarm fatigue.
Alarm fatigue. You see, it's technology's fault.
It's evil. Yeah.
If your alarm hadn't gone off, you would have just had a lovely, peaceful night's sleep and slipped into a coma. Like Snow White.
Yeah. Jeepers, Trace.
No judgment here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I survived from age 10 to age 30 without a CGM. Oh, I'm still here. Never been to hospital.
Yeah, nice.
So what can I say? CGM's overrated. I know that people are terrified to sleep without their alarms, but I've done it. I've done it a lot.
When these 2 sensors end, I think I'm going to have like a week just like CGM free and just go back to the finger prick just to try. Just have a little bit of a break.
Good idea. That sounds good. Well, we got all that off our chest.
Yeah, I feel so much better.
Did your blood come down?
Let's see. Nope, didn't even move. Thanks for nothing. Blood sugar.
Oh, maybe it'll still come. Do you know what my other bugbear is? In the night when my alarm goes off, firstly, I'm mad at my alarm for saving my life. It's very rude. And then, just to make things worse, my husband will wake up and say, "Are you okay?"
How dare he? How dare he check?
I'm like, just leave me alone. Stop talking to me. And then he'll be like, "Are you going to stay awake till it comes up?" And I'm like, "No, I wasn't going to."
You should just say, no, don't worry, you can stay up. Just keep checking it for me, and then you can go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't know whether I'd be more mad if he didn't ask or if he did ask, but I'm annoyed either way. So
that's it. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's not easy.
It ain't easy.
Lucky I'm a hottie.
Exactly.
Alrighty, if you are watching this on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. If you're not watching this on YouTube, by the way, we are on YouTube now. And then you can find us on Instagram at Correction Dose or email Cait, Cait, at correctiondose.com.
See you next time.
See you next time.